Hi, this is Jackie with Panama Relocation Tours. Thank you for joining us for our Move to Panama Q&A live stream. This live stream is all about you getting answers to your questions about moving to and living in Panama. I know it's such a big decision. It was a huge decision for me too. And there's so much information out there on YouTube videos and Facebook and other kinds of social media. So I know it helps to get information, answers to your questions, and that's why I do these Q&A live streams. We did the very first one in April of 2010. That's when I did the very first Q&A. Back then it was a conference call. So I've been doing these things for 15 years. And I love answering your questions and clearing up any confusion that you have about getting a visa, getting health insurance, information about different areas. I'm going to get started with it in just a minute. Can everybody see Buster back there? I fed him. He had his treat, so hopefully he's going to be a good boy. He's taking his nap in his favorite chair. I have a couple of announcements to make, and then we'll get started with the live stream while we're waiting for people to roll in. So one of the first announcements I want to make is if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. By doing that, you're going to know every time that we upload a new video. And we just shot 4 new videos. So we have one that's coming out on Sunday. We have some other new videos coming out soon. So if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, you'll be the first one to know when I upload a new video for you to watch. The other important message is normally I just do one live stream once a week, but I have a special live stream that I'm going to do on Thursday with one of the administrators of the Panama Clinic, which is the premier hospital in Panama City. And Thursday was the only day that she had available to do the live stream this month. So instead of putting the information off, I went ahead and said, okay, let's do it on Thursday. This live stream is going to be for veterans, whether you're U.S. veteran or Canadian veteran, and it's how you can get your veteran medical benefits taken care of at the Panama Clinic. They've been taking care of veterans for many, many years, and they have the systems down really, really well. So if you're a veteran from the United States or from Canada, don't miss the live stream on Thursday at 5 o'clock Central. Of course, I will record it also, and the replay will be available. Unfortunately, that's also the very same day that we have our monthly PRT, our Panama Relocation Tour meetup. So I know some of you are going to be at the meetup. We hold those simultaneously in 8 different locations throughout Panama to facilitate you meeting people and making friends after you get to Panama. So you have an instant friend network when you come on a Panama Relocation Tour or when you buy the online guide. And then one other announcement I want to make, I want to thank Rebecca for being here. Rebecca is our moderator, and you'll see a little screw or wrench, I think it's called a wrench, symbol next to her name. So Rebecca, thank you so much for moderating. The reason I have a moderator is we usually have 200, 300, sometimes 400 people on this live stream. So it's very hard for me to answer your questions and talk to you about whatever the topic is, and also monitor what's going on over in the little chat window over on the side. Rebecca's there to moderate what's going on over on the side. A couple of rules about our live streams: no politics. Leave that politics stuff at the border. We don't want to hear about politics at all during our live streams. Panama politics is okay, but no politics from other countries. Also, no promotions for real estate or other things. This is just about giving you the information that you need to be able to make an informed decision about if Panama is right for you. So it starts with just getting answers to your questions. So the way this live stream works, I'm not able to click on your name and unmute you and put you up on the screen with me like I've done with some of our other live streams where I'll have 2 or 3 different people on the screen. With the Q&A live stream, you're going to have to type your question into the chat window, and you have to put 3 question marks in front of it. If you don't put 3 question marks in front of it, then I won't know it's a question because there's other conversations going on over in the chat window. So you have to put the 3 question marks in front of it. If you don't, Rebecca's probably going to remind you to put 3 question marks in front of your questions. If you start talking politics, or if you, start trying to promote something, Rebecca's probably going to ban you or boot you out of the live stream. So let's be nice and play by the rules of no politics. So you can go ahead and you can put in your first questions by typing in 3 question marks and then type your question, and I will pop it up on the screen just like this one, and I will answer it. So this question's from Monique, who lives in London. What are the options to get from Coronado back to Panama City and the cost, and about how long does it take? Thank you. So your options from getting from Coronado back to Panama City, you can take the bus, which is going to be like $5 to take the bus. And I don't know if you've been to Coronado, but right at that intersection where there's like McDonald's and some grocery stores, right by the McDonald's that's in Coronado, there's a bus stop. So if you go to that bus stop, you can get the bus to take you back into Coronado, and it's about $5. If you have luggage, they'll put it underneath the bus for storage. So the other thing that you could do to arrange something where someone actually picks you up, there's a company called Services Coronado. Look for their website online, and you can arrange for them to pick you up at your house and take you to wherever it is that you need to go in Panama City. Their costs are about $60, so it's 10 times more, but it's going to be a little bit easier. Of course, there's other things. Uber is not very popular in the Coronado area, but there is an app called InDrive. That's INDRIVE. And they're probably going to be about $40. And it's cash only with InDrive. So those are 3 options for you. A question from Cynthia. If we don't use Golden Frog or someone else, where do we get the pet forms to take to the certified vets? So your certified vet in your country, in the US or in Canada or Germany or wherever you are, they're going to have the correct forms. What you need are the forms that you have to submit to Panama 3 days before you arrive. And you can find those forms on our website. If you go to PanamaRelocationTours.com and you search Bringing Pets to Panama, in that long article, there is a link to a quarantine form that you have to fill out, and it has to be sent into Mensa 3 days before you arrive. So it's right on there. And next question, how necessary or critical is it to speak Spanish? Rich, it depends on where you live. If you live in an area where there's a lot of other expats, like some parts of Panama City and also the Coronado area or Boquete area, a lot of people, even the service workers, people at the bank, doctors, are going to speak English. But if you move to a town, let's say like Las Tablas or Chitre, where there are some expats, but not very many, then you're going to need to know more Spanish. A lot of Panamanians do know English, and they all know how to use Google Translate, and they're glad to communicate with you with Google Translate. So Sandra says, if I know which attorney I want to use, can I contact him before I come on the tour in January? Absolutely. You should contact the attorney in advance. You are going to meet, if you're coming on a Panama relocation tour, you're going to meet 2 or 3 immigration attorneys. You'll meet some on Sunday, and you'll meet some on Wednesday night also. So Jason wants to know, what are good options for specialty pet food or medications ordered from the U.S., or are there good options in Panama? There are there are pet stores in Panama, and it depends on where you live as to what's available. If you live in Panama City, there's a place called American Pets that has all kinds of specialty food. Also, Melo, M-E-L-O, is another store that's throughout the country, and they have, the science diet and all kinds of other fancy food. And if they don't have something that you want, they can certainly order it for you. The same thing with the medications. Now, pet medications in Panama usually, just like human medications, don't need a prescription, and they should have those at a Milo or one of the pet stores. By the way, the questions are coming in fast and furious. And if your question scrolls off the screen, I'm getting to them as fast as I can, but I also want to give a thorough answer. So you might have to type it in a couple of times, and I'm sorry if yours goes off the screen before I get to it. Can you tell me more about medical insurance? So medical insurance in Panama kind of falls into two categories. There's insurance that's, you get Panama insurance that's good at many of the different hospitals. There's also international insurance that you can get that's going to cover you at not just in Panama, but when you're traveling also. And the international travel insurance usually covers even more things in Panama than other insurance. The place you can go to get detailed information, including brochures and prices for the medical insurance, is on our website at Panama Relocation Tours. Search health insurance options. Remember, search health insurance options, and you'll see an article that lists brochures, prices, and details of the different kinds. Now, some of the Panama insurance is going to have some restrictions that you have to be fully vaccinated for COVID, and you have to be less than 79 years old to get the insurance. Some of the insurance doesn't have that restriction. So make sure and look at what the restrictions are. Also, if you have pre-existing conditions, some of the insurance is going to exclude those completely, and some of them will exclude them for the first 2 years and then cover it at 50% after that. Next question. If I'm on a retirement visa and later decide to start a small business in Panama, does that change the status or nature of the visa? How does it work? So Sebastian, you can, if you have a pensionado visa, you can own a business, you can start a business, you just can't work in your own business unless you have a work permit. So if you know you might want to start a business later on, I would highly recommend that instead of getting the retirement visa, you get one of the friendly nation visas instead. There is a friendly nation visa. You don't have to invest $200,000 in real estate, but instead you set up a corporation. That corporation issues you a labor contract. And then with a labor contract, you can get a work permit. And so we have details about that on our website. Search 4 ways to get a friendly nation visa, and it's option number 4. And you should know that if you do that, and if you are a woman that's 55 or a man that's 60, you're still going to get all of the pensionado discounts. So even if you get the friendly nation visa, you can still get the jubilado discounts. And how do we get out of our current Verizon contract if we need to sign up with a cell service in Panama? So you're going to have to ask Verizon how you can get out of their contract. If you want to keep that phone number that you have with Verizon, you can port it over to Google Voice. And I think it costs $20 to port it over, but then after that, it's absolutely free. So you can still keep your same phone number, and you will be able to get 2-factor authentication codes because you probably have that phone number with banks that you're associated with. So you might want to keep the phone number and just get rid of Verizon and their high fees. What is the volume of a pallet for shipping household goods? What size of totes is usually used? So most people use a 27-gallon tote. And the majority, every shipper is a little bit different, but the majority of people put 8 totes on one pallet. Some will put even more than 8 totes, but it's usually 8 totes are going to go on one pallet. And it's the black with the yellow lid is the 27-gallon. I'm planning on your tour next July. Would like to get a head start on applying for a pensionado visa. Is that possible? Also, are the immigration interviews in Panama City? So you can actually get a residency visa or apply for immigration at any immigration office. It doesn't have to be in Panama City. The majority of the immigration attorneys that we work with are either in Panama City, although they can help you in Panama or Santiago, or they're in David. So you can do that. There's really, until you come on the tour and you know you want to live in Panama, you know you like Panama, I wouldn't waste your money on getting a visa, because you might come on the tour and decide Panama is just not for me. So there's no need in getting a visa until you know you're going to like living in Panama. Jonathan says, how far in advance do we need to book a private tour? And if we plan on going on multiple areas, do we need to book with multiple guides? I would highly recommend that you book your private tour at least 30 days in advance, because just like our regular Panama relocation tours are sold out 6 months in advance, the private tours sell out 2 or 3 months in advance. Some of them do. Luckily, I add more private tour guides if necessary. So we have 3, 4, 5 private tour guides in each one of the different areas. So with one of them should be available if you book at least 30 days in advance. And yes, if you want to do multiple areas, you're going to have to do multiple tour guides. So make sure you coordinate that and give 1 day of travel time in between. For example, if you did Monday, Tuesday in Panama City, and then you also wanted to do Coronado, you're going to have to give Wednesday as a travel day, and don't start your Coronado tour until Thursday. So always give yourself a day of travel. Does UPS deliver to your door in Panama? No, they do not. If my wife makes enough money to qualify for both of us, am I a dependent? Can I get my own visa, or do I need to have my own income? If your wife makes enough, which would be $1,250 US, then you can both get a residency visa on just her income alone. She'll be the primary visa holder. You'll be the dependent. You're still going to be able to get the jubilado discounts or pensionado discounts. Is there any promo codes for the online guide? There's no promo codes right now. That we don't have any sales going on right now. Hi, Jackie. My wife is not a big fan of dogs, actually scared of them. Knowing that, it's my understanding Panama has its share of dogs that roam the streets. What's Boquete dog situation? So in Boquete, there are definitely dogs that just roam around. And it's not so much that they're stray dogs, it's that the owners of those dogs, they feed them in the morning, they open up the gate and they let them go out to go visit with all the other dogs. And then the dogs just know to go back home when it's time to eat dinner. So there's definitely dogs that you're going to see on some in the downtown Boquete area, but when you're in Alto Boquete and other outlying areas, you will see some dogs. Do you get Netflix and other streaming services in Panama? Yes, I have an Amazon Fire Stick, and on that I have an app for Netflix, Amazon Prime, Apple TV, Angel Studios. I don't remember what the other ones are, Paramount, and a bunch of other ones. So anything that you can watch where you are now, you can watch it here. We did do a live stream about a year or two ago with a gentleman that helps you set up your Fire Stick so you can get all those movies here. You do have to use a VPN to be able to get full access to everything in the inventory for those streaming services. Rich wants to know best places to live if I have mobility issues with a walker. So if you have mobility issues with a walker, first of all, Panama doesn't subscribe to the American Disabilities Act. So there's not going to always be accessibility for you in all places. The places that have the smoothest sidewalks in Panama City would be the Costa del Este area. Also in Valle de Anton, it's another place that has really good sidewalks, and also Volcan on the far western side of Panama. So those are the 3 places that would be the best if you have mobility issues and need a walker. I would highly recommend that before you make plans to move to Panama or before you get a visa, you need to come and check out those areas and make sure that it's going to work for you. Sandra says, if I need a particular medication that's rather expensive in the US, how can I find out if it's available in Panama? So there's two ways that you can find out if it's available. One of them is on our website at Panama Relocation Tours. We have an article. Just search drugs, drugs, in the upper right-hand corner. There's a search feature. On there, there's a link to two pharmacies where you can put in the name of any medication and see if it's available and see what the price is. If you don't find it on there, it doesn't mean that it's not available. It just means that it might be only available at a hospital pharmacy. Now, to call a hospital pharmacy, you need to know fluent Spanish. So the other thing you can do, there's two things. One, in our online Panama relocation guide, we have information about a doctor that you can call to get a consultation. I think he charges $60 for a 1-hour consultation. He'll review all of your medications and your history and let you know if that medication's available, where to get it, and how to get it. So that's one way to do it. The other thing is there's a company called Simplify Panama, SIMPLIFY Panama.com. Julie is the owner, and you can contact Julie, and for a fee, she'll do the research about that medication for you in Panama. We live in Detroit where there are no scorpions. Any tips on dealing with scorpions? So if you live in the highland area where you're close to coffee plants, you're going to have more likely to have some scorpion encounters. If you don't live in the highland area, for example, if you live in a beach area or if you live in Panama City, you're probably not going to have any scorpion encounters at all. So choose where you live carefully. Is central air conditioning available? The majority of places in Panama that need air conditioning do not have central air. Instead, they have what's called a split system, where it's just this big box that's up on high on the wall. And there's one for each room where air conditioning is offered. And then you just turn on the air conditioner in the room that you're in instead of air conditioning the entire house. Annie, yep, you're late. That's okay. You can watch the rerun to see what we've talked about. By the way, if you did join us a little bit late and you're wondering, how do I ask a question? What you have to do is you have to type it into the chat window, and you must put 3 question marks in front of it first. Otherwise, I won't know that it's a question because there's other conversations going on. I'm going to get to them as fast as I can, but it might scroll off the screen before I get to it, so you might have to type it in a second time. A little bit of hibiscus tea to wet my throat. What is the range of rental prices to ensure hot water in all faucets and other Western amenities in the highlands? So in the highlands, I would say, it depends on where you live, but in the highlands, I would say that to ensure that you're going to have hot water and some Western amenities, maybe not a dishwasher, then you're probably going to be in the $700 up price range. In Panama City, it's going to be probably more like a $900 to $1,000 price range. Is the relocation guide free for those booked on a tour? Yes, if you come on a Panama relocation tour, then you get the online Panama relocation guide after your tour on the last day. We send you a link to it. You also get access to our private Facebook group, where we have 7,000 members. Many of them have already moved to Panama, so you have a built-in support system for when you move to Panama. Wife is very afraid of creepy crawlies. How thick and are they around Pedicey and coastal areas in the Zora? So, well, I'm not sure what you mean by creepy crawlies, but yes, in Pedicey, you can probably have some snakes. You might see some scorpions. If you live closer to the beach, you might get some crabs that come in your house. So it's just part of living in the tropics. You get used to it. Will there be, and I'll be there in 5 days, where to get an eSIM. So congratulations on coming to Panama in 5 days. Do not get an eSIM at the airport. Number one rule, don't get it at the airport. Instead, go to a Tigo, T-I-G-O store, and you can get a physical SIM or an eSIM at the Tigo store. They only charge $2 for the SIM, and then you can buy either, like 5 days of talk time, or you can sign up for a monthly contract. Why did you move in Panama? I'm a Texas, moved to Panama. So I moved from Texas to Panama because there was this one summer, I think it was 2008 or maybe 2009, that for 3 months straight, it never got below 100 degrees. Even at 2 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it was like 105, 110. And I had a house in Dallas, but also had a house in East Texas on a lake. And it was so hot, I couldn't even get on my lake. I couldn't use my boat. And I just decided I didn't want to live like that anymore. My air conditioner was running nonstop in the summertime. And of course, the heater was on all the time in the wintertime. And I didn't want to live like that. I wanted to live in a place where I could have fresh air every day. Once I get a visa, pensionado visa, what are the residency requirements for maintaining it? So once you get your visa, and by the way, with a pensionado visa, first you're going to get a temporary visa, and then about 6 months later, you're going to get your permanent visa. Once you get that permanent visa, the requirement is that you have to come back to Panama for at least 1 day every 2 years for you to maintain the visa. So there's no requirement to actually live in Panama. Is there live theater in Panama City? Yes, there is. How do you purchase 1-year travel insurance when you're asked for a return date? I've never lived outside of the country. So just give them a date that's a year later, and then you can renew it and do another year at the end of that year. When do I get my health check? Will be on Monday, be there on Monday. So your immigration attorney is going to arrange for the health check, and they may just ask you some questions. Call the doctor, tell them the answers. The doctor will create the health certificate. You may not even need to see a doctor, but your attorney will take care of all that before you go to immigration. Are there American healthcare companies to work for in Panama? So no, there would not be any healthcare companies that you could work for. First of all, there's no American healthcare companies. The other thing is anything related to the healthcare industry is a protected profession for Panamanians only. So doctors, nurses, lab technicians, chiropractors, physical therapy, all those kind of things are a protected profession for only Panamanians. What would you recommend for how long out before moving to start the process? So what I recommend is first you need to come to Panama and see if you even like it. As much as I like Panama, that doesn't mean you will. You might not like it at all. And on our tour, 67% of the people that come on our tour, they move to Panama within a year after coming on the tour. Some of them move within 2 years, but that's clearly that probably 15 to 20% of the people that come on our tour, for one reason or another, they decide that Panama is not right for them. So you need to make sure Panama is right for you first. And then once you decide that it is right, I recommend that you wait and move to Panama, get all the documents for getting a visa, then move to Panama and then get your visa. Otherwise, it's going to be multiple trips going back and forth to get the temporary visa, another trip to get your permanent visa. So just wait until you actually move. It'll end up saving you about $2,000 if you wait and get your visa after you move to Panama. Laura says, do you need to get a package deal to get the connections for immigration lawyers, realtors, fixers? I'll be there in January. I don't know about the package deal, but if you get our online Panama relocation guide, and if you go to our website and just click on online guide, if you get our online Panama relocation guide, then we have a list of immigration attorneys that we refer you to, and they give all of our clients a huge discount. So you'll recoup your money just with the immigration attorney fees. Also, realtors, fixers, car brokers, details about how to get a driver's license, how to get your e-cedula, tips, 17 tips on important questions that you need to ask before you find a rental. The whole online Panama relocation guide is a wealth of information that will end up, even though it costs money to buy it, I guarantee it's going to save you money when you move to Panama. Is malaria a problem? Do they have vaccines for that? I don't know if they have a vaccine for malaria. I don't know. Malaria might be a problem if you lived in the jungle, like the Darien jungle, but in the majority of Panama, it's not a problem at all. And Jay says, you mentioned be careful with insurance brokers, that you have a few you've recommended. I'm going to book a private tour instead of Boquete. Will we get to meet or talk to one of those? If you want to meet with an insurance broker, then you just need to let your private tour guide know, and they can certainly facilitate with you meeting with one of the insurance brokers that we recommend. Is janitorial work available in Panama? So there may be some companies that offer janitorial work, but I can tell you that the wages for that are about $300 a month, $300 or maybe $400 a month working full time. So it's not a very profitable business in Panama. How do you set up residency address in the USA when you move to Panama if you don't have relatives or friends addresses to use? So there's a couple of ways you can do that. If you're going to be ordering things from Amazon, or you're going to have some mail sent to you in Panama, then you need to work with the Panama Mail Forwarding Company, who will assign you an address for free in Florida. So you can use that address. That's one thing that you can do. And we have an article about that. If you go to Panama Relocation Tours and search Amazon, then you can read all about how to set up a free account with a mail forwarding company. The other thing that some people do is there's a website called physicaladdress.com where you can actually get a physical address that you use for some of your notifications. And you could have mail sent to there. And then if it needs to come to Panama, they would send it to your Florida address. Jane says, I found a cell service provider called Tilo. I got a plan for 2 gig data, unlimited text and calling, also free calling for $10 a month. Yeah, I've heard of that service, and I know some people use that. Google Voice is free, or you can pay the $10 a month. Let's see. Let me get over here. I lost my mouse. Here it is. Next question. In what city does your tour end? How long do you have to stay in Panama to get the pensionado visa? When you go on an all-inclusive 6-day, 7-night Panama relocation tour, it ends in Boquete on Thursday night when we have our farewell dinner. Then Friday morning, the people that are leaving on Friday, we have a bus that takes you to David to catch a plane to go to Panama City. Your flight from David to Panama City is included in the tour. To get a pensionado visa, you need to be in Panama for 5 business days. And Laura says, how do you get refrigerated medicine from the US? Is it paid for here? So I don't want to get it there. So once again, for the refrigerated medication, you can use a mail forwarding company. Search our article on our website, just type in Amazon in the upper right-hand corner. And even with refrigerated medications, you can get those shipped to Panama. They'll put them in some dry ice so that it'll still be cold whenever it gets here. Any resources or directories for boarding a horse? So I don't have a directory on boarding a horse. I don't have that on my website. We've only had a few people that have asked. I know that in Cirazul, we did a video about that, and there is an equestrian center there where you can board your horse. There's also some places like called Metropolitan Horse Boarding in Panama City. And I know that there's some other places throughout Panama, but I don't have a complete list of all the horse boarding. Dan says, my children are 18 and 21. They want to relocate with me to Panama. Will I be getting the pensionado visa? How can they qualify for residency? So if your child is, so what they're going to have to do, if your 18-year-old is a full-time student, then they can be a dependent underneath your visa. The 21-year-old is going to have to get their own visa. The most affordable visa for them to get is that Friendly Nation visa that I talked about earlier, where you set up a corporation, and then that corporation issues your labor contract. I have more details about that in an article on my website. Search 4 ways to get a Friendly Nation visa, and you can see details about it there. And Maria says, Jackie, when we come to Panama from Canada, we need to complete an immigration pre-entry form. Do we need to complete this form if we are visa holders? I believe you do. It's not a pre-entry, it's actually a customs form. It's not an immigration form, it's a customs form. And everybody coming into Panama has to complete the customs form. Let's see, I already did that one. Do you have any ideas what percentage of people from the US move to Panama and then move back? I don't have any idea. I know that with the people that come on a Panama relocation tours, people do move back occasionally, usually because they have some health problems and want to be able to use their US insurance, or they have a mom or dad that's having health problems and they want to go back to take care of them. Are there certified documents you need to bring from the US to start the visa process? Yes, you have to be, it depends on which visa you're going to be getting, but at the very least, you're going to need income verification if you're getting a pensionado visa. You're also going to need your national criminal report, like RCMP. If you're Canadian, you said US. So you'll need an FBI report if you're a US citizen. If you're married, you're also going to need a certified copy of your marriage certificate. All of those documents have to be authenticated or apostilled. You can get an authentication at the Panama consulate. Apostille, you'll have to get at the State Department. Are real estate prices and availability going up or down in Bocas Island? So I've seen rental prices have gone up quite a bit in the Bocas area, but I've seen real estate prices seem to be going down in the Bocas del Toro area. Driving to Panama from the US, do we have 10 or 30 days for the vet? So whenever you're driving into Panama from the US, your vet certificate can be up to 30 days old. The only reason that your health certificate can only be 10 days old is if you're flying on a commercial airline. But if you're flying on a charter flight, or if you're driving into Panama, that health certificate can be 30 days old. And coming for a tour, do we need anything more than a passport? You just need a passport and the sense of adventure, because you're going to have a lot of fun. We'll know November, December holidays impact booking private tours, obtaining rentals. So some of the November holidays are definitely going to impact your ability to see rentals. Because usually there's big parades that happen during it, for 1 or 2 days. A lot of real estate agents don't like to work on the weekends. So I would suggest, if you're going to come for a private tour, to come arrive on a Sunday, plan on doing your private tours between Monday and Friday, then there's less chance that the tours are going to be impacted or seeing rentals are going to be impacted. Can one extend your stay in Boquete at the end of your tour to meet with one of your lawyers? Absolutely. A lot of people stay for an extra week after the tour in the Boquete area, or they stay someplace else afterwards for a week or even 2. Which area in Panama City would be desirable for in a week to get a feel of the city? So there's so many great places in Panama City. A lot of it has to do with your budget. Some areas that are really popular, I'm sure you've heard of the El Congrejo area, San Francisco area, Via Vista area is another that's very, very popular. Casco Viejo is also popular, but I can tell you it gets very noisy there. So I wouldn't really, it's a nice place to go for dinner or to a rooftop bar for some drinks or something, but to actually stay there for a week, it might be a little bit too noisy. Next question. By the way, you guys are asking some great questions. I'm getting to them as fast as I can. What are the Wi-Fi speeds and rates in Chitre? So I check on an article on our website called Internet Speeds, and I have an actually map. It's an active map that shows what the internet speeds are in different areas of Panama. So if you click on that map, it will show you what the speeds are in Chitre. Most of Chitre has fiber optics, so you're going to be able to get 100 megabits, 500 megabits of internet speed easily. Last week during knee replacement discussion, Jackie said, you've got stem cells in Mexico. Share the contact there for stem cells. Want to try before an implant. So I go for stem cells in Mexico, and the place is called Cells, CELLS Care, CARE.com, cellscare.com. Dr. Arroyo is the doctor that I see. My dad just passed last May and left me 250 Honda I can't bear to part with just yet. I've read that Panama does not accept import cars more than 10 years old. First of all, I'm so sorry that your dad passed away. You can import a car that's more than 10 years old. You can definitely do that. The only thing you need to know is that you're only going to be able to get liability insurance. You can't get collision insurance on a car that's more than 10 years old. Private contractor. The company that will still be able to continue. I don't know what WFH means. I'm sorry. You're going to have to retype your question, Sandra, because I don't know what the code words mean. Do you need to set up a local bank account or just ATM to withdraw cash to pay rents? So a lot of people live in Panama and they never get a Panama bank account. Some people do get a Panama bank account. So it's a personal choice. If you have a debit card like Schwab or Fidelity that reimburses you for your foreign transaction fees like ATM fees, which are very high in Panama, then you can get it by just fine without getting a Panama bank account. Coming at the end of November and going to schedule a private tour. If I want to meet with an immigration attorney, is that coordinated with the tour guide? You're going to be meeting for a private tour. Yes, for a private tour, they will coordinate that for you. Jonathan wants to know about working from home. What is your question specifically, Jonathan? And then I can answer it. Now, once again, if you have a question for me, you're going to have to type 3 questions in front of it. Otherwise, I won't know it's a question. What is the search keyword on the relocation site regarding online biz? I already found established in the US. I can't seem to find the information. So in the online guide and also on our Panama Relocation Tour website, I have a free ebook that's called about getting an online business or starting an online business or getting a remote work job. And it's a free ebook that you can get called Fund, F-U-N-D, Your Freedom Overseas. So search Fund Your Freedom Overseas, and it'll take you to the information about that free ebook. And Sandra says, I work from home, private contractor, call center. Will I be able to continue in Panama if I'm getting a pensionado visa? Yes, if you have a pensionado visa, you can work remotely, no problems at all. No question. Okay, work from home. Thank you. I didn't know what it meant and didn't want to say any bad words, of course. How long after we open a bank account do we get a debit card? So usually you're going to get your debit card the very same day. They'll also get you all set up with online banking the very same day. Are Panama bank deposits insured? They're not insured in Panama. So what a lot of people do, if you're going to make a substantial deposit, is you'll have money in 2 or 3 different banks instead of putting all your eggs in one basket. Keep in mind, they have never had a bank failure or a bank bailout in Panama, so your money is going to be safe in Panama. Cheryl says, I currently have a home-based business. I plan to continue working in Panama. Would I still need to obtain a friendly nation visa? So no, if your home-based business is not selling any products to people in Panama and you're not selling any services to people in Panama, then you wouldn't have to get a friendly nation visa. If you're selling products or services to people in Panama, you need to get a work permit. To get a work permit, you're going to need to get the friendly nation visa. Karen says, I'm coming on the September 26th tour. I have 3 dogs and was wondering if there are pet relocation company to make the transition easier. So there are pet relocation companies. We have a list of like 4 of them that are recommended in our online Panama relocation guide. Another thing that you might consider, because for 3 dogs with the relocation companies, it's going to cost probably $9,000 to $10,000 with the pet relocation companies. For that same price or even less, you can take a shared charter flight and have all 3 dogs in the cabin with you with no carrier, no crate, not putting them in cargo. So one of the charter companies, the shared charter companies we recommend is Perro Air, PERROAIR.com. And just check that out, and that might be a more cost-effective way to get all your dogs here. They won't have to go in cargo. They won't have to be away from mom for 1 minute. They'll be right with you. My grandma always wanted to be laid to rest in Panama. Is there a way for me to dig her body up on my own and have her flown on a commercial airplane over there and kept until we bury her? I have no idea about the answer to that question. If your grandma was cremated, then you might be able to do it, but actually digging her body up, I don't even know if that's possible. Sorry, I don't know. Are rents less expensive and available during the rainy season? Yes, rents are much less expensive, especially in the coastal areas and the beach areas. Rents go up a lot starting in December all the way until May because a lot of snowbirds come in, and a lot of landlords will, some of them double their rents during snowbird season. So if you come in October, November and secure a 1-year rental, you're going to save a lot of money. Let's see. I'm on CBD cream for pain. Is that admissible? So CBD cream, it depends on what it has in it. If it has THC, then you're not going to be able to bring that into Panama. We're scheduled for a tour in October and are coming a day early. Is there a way to connect with others from our tour group ahead of time for a dinner? Not really. If you're coming in a day early, so everybody's going to be staying at exactly the same hotel just before the tour, and everyone's going to get a name tag if they want to wear it. Some people don't want to wear it, just so you can easily remember people's names, and also you have a goodie bag that says Panama Relocation Tours. So that's one way that you're going to be able to identify people, but you're not going to be able to contact them in advance unless you're in the private Facebook group, which you won't get access to until after your tour. What does the Friendly Nation visa entails? Heard some things have changed. So it depends on which Friendly Nation visa that you're going to get. There's 4 ways to get a Friendly Nation visa. The first way is if you get a job in Panama, an actual job offer from a Panamanian company, then that's one way to get the Friendly Nation visa. Another way is if you purchase real estate that's worth at least $200,000. Another way is if you deposit $200,000 into a 3-year CD at a Panama bank. And then the fourth way to get the Friendly Nation visas is if you set up a special corporation, of course, working with an immigration attorney, and that corporation issues you a labor contract. Then those are how you get it. There's been for several years, that's the way the rules have been. There haven't been any changes. Can you donate your body to science or college? That's something I don't know the answer to either. I can tell you that on your driver's license in Panama, they ask if you want to donate your organs upon your demise. So the organs could be used for research, or I guess they could be used to save someone else's life. But as far as donating your whole body for research, I don't know. If I purchase the PRT guide, then later book a tour, is the tour price discounted? If you buy the online Panama relocation guide and later come on a tour, we give you a $200 discount on the all-inclusive 6-day, 7-night Panama relocation tour. If I plan on a tour and stay 180 days to apply for a pensionado visa, do I need? So yes, you can, if you're from North America, then you can stay for 180 days in Panama as a tourist. So you could squeeze a tour in there, then you could stay and you could do a visa afterwards. You just have to make sure that you bring the necessary documents for getting the visa. Is pet cremation possible? Yes, pet cremation is possible in Panama. There's a crematory in David and there's some in Panama City also. And Sunshine says, looking for a place not too far from Panama City, suburb for raising a toddler with good schools. So I don't know what you mean by not too far from Panama City. It could be, there's several different places that would qualify. You could be in Panama City. There's some great schools. There's also Breezes to Golf is another area. If you want to go on the other side of the bridge, there's Panama Pacifico. There's all kinds of different places. I've read that there's a large Chinese Communist Party influence in Panama. Is that something we should be concerned about? I'm not aware of any Chinese Communist Party, and we do try to avoid political remarks, but I've never heard of a Chinese Communist Party, just that there's a lot of Chinese people that live in Panama. We have a disabled sister that is in a rehabilitation facility in Dallas. Are there affordable health accommodations available? She's currently using Medicaid. So first of all, her Medicaid is not going to work in Panama. Panama does have assisted living facilities, not necessarily rehabilitation, but they do have assisted living facilities. Some of them are less than $1,000 a month, includes a room and her meals and everything. I have an article about that. So search assisted living on our website for more details and a link to each one of the different facilities. Now there's government facilities and there's private facilities, but in either case, Medicaid would not pay for any of it in Panama. Any news on Medicare Advantage being eliminated in the US? Haven't heard anything about it, and I just had a talk with Medicare last week about some new programs that are coming up. If I buy the online Panama relocation guide, you'll also get access to the private Facebook group. Yes, when you buy the online guide, you also get access to the private Facebook group. Just a second, I need to wet my whistle a little bit. Are there Spanish language schools in Bocas del Toro and Boquete? Yes, they're available in both locations. By the way, if you guys haven't already done so, please subscribe to our YouTube channel so you'll be the first one to know when we upload some new videos. I've already uploaded a video that's going to go live on Sunday at 5 o'clock, but I have 4 more videos that I'll be uploading probably in the next week or two, and you'll be the first one to know if you subscribe to our channel. Can I drive my car in Panama with my U.S. driver's license? So, yes, you can drive a car in Panama with your U.S. driver's license for the first 90 days that you're in Panama. But after 90 days, you can no longer drive with your U.S. driver's license. You have to get a Panama driver's license, and you can't get a Panama driver's license until you get a residency visa. So the answer is only for 90 days. I guess that was a question for me. Are there any openings on the Panama relocation tours in the winter? I haven't looked at our dates today, but if you click on, if you go to our website and just type in tour dates in the very top, then it'll let you know what dates that we might have an opening. I think we're sold out until April of next year. You can always get on a backup list for any of the tours, and then we'll notify you if we get an opening. Is Playa Banal a good place to retire, and will they get a hospital, stores, or restaurants close by? So Playa Banal is a bit isolated. And it's also quite expensive to live in Playa Banal. The closest hospital is going to be in Pedasí. They have a small hospital there. The closest big hospital is going to be in Chitre, which is quite a bit of a drive. My daughter owns 3 pet grooming salons here in Atlanta. Can she open up a salon in Panama? She can certainly open a salon in Panama if she has the right visa and a work permit. Remember, foreigners are not allowed to work in Panama, and they can't sell any products, and they can't sell any services unless they have a work permit. And Petra says, what is a good or close to Panama City, but more affordable, not too busy, preferably by a beach? So if you want to be by a beach and still close to Panama City, I don't know what close is, but I would say Chame, Chame, or Gorgona, which are both going to be an hour and a half to 2 hours away from Panama City, but those are going to be your best places. If we rent a property for a year, can we sublet for times we're not there? The majority of leases do not allow subletting. And if you do, you can get in big trouble. So it depends on what's in your lease and what you negotiate with the owner. Is it difficult to get financing for home in Panama City specifically or anywhere? If you're a foreigner, getting financing is pretty difficult. You definitely need to already have your visa and your cedula, and then they will consider giving financing. However, you need to know that to get bank financing in Panama, you're going to need 30 to 40% down. They're also going to require you to have a life insurance policy naming the bank as the beneficiary. Loans have to be paid off by the time you turn 70, and there's no fixed interest rate. So every year, it's a variable interest rate. Every year, the rates can change and your payments can change. Already did that one. Is it possible to rent an apartment in Panama for $300 per month? It is possible to rent an apartment for $300 a month in Panama, but not in Panama City. Get away from the pet grooming thing. Well, this keeps coming up. I heard that you can now get a work permit if you have a pensionado visa. Not necessarily. I know 4 people that in this year alone, they have a pensionado visa and they applied for a work permit and they were all denied because they couldn't justify why they needed to be working in Panama and taking jobs away from Panamanians. So you have to justify why you need to work, why you need to make extra money, and why you're not able to live on the retirement income that you have in Panama. So you might be able to, but like I said, I know 4 people this year who were all denied. And one person, she tried 3 different attorneys and she was denied every single time for a work permit. If you want to get a work permit, you really need to get the Friendly Nation visa. Is Boquete a city that is very walkable to get around? You can definitely walk around Boquete, but I wouldn't call it a walkable city because the sidewalks are in disrepair. Where there is a sidewalk, it's in disrepair. I actually have some pictures that you can see of what the situation is like in Boquete. So go to my website at Panama Relocation Tours, and the search feature on the top right, type in danger, and you'll see some pictures of what the situation is like there. And then you'll understand what I'm talking about. Brian says, how common do landlords sell out rentals? That happened in the US, reading a lot about renting versus buying. So it happens. Sometimes the landlords, things happen and they do sell out. In the last rental that I was in, the landlord that I had, she died. Her son inherited the properties. He lived in San Francisco. Properties were in Panama. He didn't want to be a long distance landlord and he decided to sell. So things happen and sometimes they will. Other people I know, they've been renting from the very same landlord for 6, 7, 8 years and they haven't raised the rent and they haven't sold it. What is the closest hospital if we decide to live in Volcan or Boquete? Is the car needed for those 2 areas? So you can get by without a car in both Volcan and Boquete, but you're going to need to rely on either the bus system or on taxis to get around. There is a small clinic hospital in both of those cities, but they don't handle major things. You'd have to go into David, to either the public hospital or the 2 private hospitals that are in David for most major medical things. Minor medical, they can take care of it in town. Wow, it's already after 6. I'll take one more question. I've heard some expats teach Spanish. Is this a good idea? Is there a school that teaches Spanish? I would suggest that you learn Spanish from a Panamanian because they're going to teach you Panamanian Spanish. A lot of the expats that teach Spanish, they learned Mexican Spanish, or maybe they were Spanish teachers in the United States, but it's not the same. Mexican Spanish is very different from Panama Spanish. So I suggest if you're going to learn Spanish, learn from a Panamanian. So I answered a lot of questions, and I know that I could keep on answering questions for the rest of the night, and they would just keep on pouring in, but that would make the replay of this more than 1 hour long, and most people don't want to sit through a 1 hour replay of a live stream. So I hope everybody learned something new. A reminder, on Thursday, I'm doing a video about veterans medical benefits at the Panama Clinic, which is the premier hospital in Panama City. So if you're a veteran, you don't want to miss that. Also, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I'll be back on Thursday. And of course, I'll be back next Tuesday. I don't remember what our talk is about next Tuesday, but next Tuesday, I'm doing another live stream, so I'll see you then. Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for being here.